Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Bage Talks podcast. That name will probably change at some point. I'm here today with my first ever guest, Jordi Dungai. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
you did your best. It's okay. Like I get this all the time with my name. It's such a weird name.
I know. I apologize. I will try to. I will be better throughout this podcast.
No, it's you should always remember that throughout your whole life, how life like progresses. You're gonna look back on this podcast, the first episode, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, that was the worst podcast in the world." That's always when you make something.
Yeah, that's how I still feel about my first video I ever made.
If you didn't, then it means you didn't progress or improve in any way, right? So you wouldn't want that as well.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I originally hid my first video when I restarted my channel. I was like, because I was so embarrassed by it. But then like a few months later, I'm like, man, I shouldn't be embarrassed by it. I should be proud. So then I unprivated it and I tried watching it again. I couldn't get past like the first minute. It was so bad.
You have to bathe in the shame of your older self. I think it's a very good thing. But my first video is the first real video about video game was the one about the mortality. I think it's called the mortality in video games, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I watched that one. I watched your Bastion video.
Yes, how? Like from all the games there, you found Bastion. My friends joke in the comments like nobody knows this game, which is kind of true. Like it's not very famous nowadays,
I mean, this studio is more famous, but yeah, I'm a big fan. I can't remember their name. What?
Supergiant Games.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my god. Now they're one of my favorite studios. I haven't played Transistor yet, but I played Pyre, played Hades, and I played Bastion. Hades is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, I'm building up to that. Like the idea is to just do all of their games and lead to Hades because I know it's gonna be good. Because it's the one that everybody loved as well.
Yeah,
they've been good like throughout the years, but like now the Hades was like the big boom. Everybody knows that one. And
then the other one, which I really enjoyed actually, was your Kingdom Come Deliverance video. I remember when that game came out like in 2018 by what were they called, Warhorse Gaming or whatever.
Yeah, the chicks.
And it was just, I thought it was a really interesting game, like story wise, but it's just like the actual combat itself kind of just turned me off, just from everything from like shooting a bow to actual sword fighting. I could get like some people who would just like dive deep into that would be really interested, but I just couldn't play it.
Yeah, the mechanics are a little bit rough. The story that the way that I got into that game was that my friend was like literally begging for me to play it. I have a friend that he's like Armenian, but he grew up in Russia, kind of similar to my background. It's kind of funny, right? And he was like begging me, please play this game. You start as like a peasant, you're a loser, you cannot even wield a sword, and then you get better, and it's so good. And I'm like, okay. He was doing that for like a few months, and then I will succumb to your pressure, and I will play it, but I will make a video out of it as well.
Yeah.
So that's how that one came to be. You're right, man. Isn't it the same thing like Skyrim? Skyrim doesn't have good combat as well, but everybody loves it anyhow. So it's usually the surrounding things and how it can immerse you into the world that makes you love these games, not the moment-to-moment gameplay.
Well, it's just
crazy.
Like the combat in Skyrim is like way more streamlined, where it's just like, oh, you hit a button, you do the thing, right? In Kingdom Come Deliverance, like you have to like angle your sword in like the correct position. And of course, if you get hit like once or twice, you basically lose the fight because it's so stamina based, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can cheat the system after a while. You learn how to abuse the little glitches of it. Like I don't know.
You need to have like a really good understanding of the system itself before you can actually play it.
Yeah,
but then it feels like the game gives you like this huge like challenge hike right away. With like when you're fighting like those soldiers on a hill or like in the woods or whatever from the guy who stole your parents' sword or something like that.
Yeah,
isn't that that's like the first real fight of the game, and it's hard as hell.
But like that's the idea. I think they're going for like, oh, you're not supposed to be able to do anything right now because you were always like in the farm. The character was in the farm, so they're not good, but they will get good eventually. I think that's the premise.
I suppose. I just from the reviews that I've seen, because I know Yahtzee Croshaw did a video on it, and I don't know if you know who that is or not.
No, I do not.
Oh my god, dude, he's one of the best reviewers out there. I'll send you a link later. Okay. Well, yeah, him and a few other guys got stuck on that fight, Like not specifically like the army fight where like your guys fight the other guys, but it's like when you're doing that 1v1 with the bald dude that took your sword. That's only when people would be like, okay, this game's a little bit too much for me. I don't really feel like I'm ready, and then they just kind of stop, which I think is a shame because I think the story was really good, or at least like up to that point.
Well, you're not talking about the fight that you were meant to lose, right, or not? Not the one in the rain and with the dog.
No, it's like after that. Like I know you're supposed to lose that fight, but it's like when you go to track down your sword, right? And
I'm blanking. I don't remember exactly, but I remember that in the beginning it's super difficult. Like you're like level 1, and everybody else is higher than that. So yeah, I remember. But just to bring it back, I think every complaint about the difficulty somebody will bring for this game, for the people that love it, that's a feature, it's not a bug. Like they love that it's so difficult to get in, and there's so many like details and things that you have to always be in the lookout for. Like they love that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree there. It's really focused on like this realistic approach to combat where like, oh, if you do get hit once, yeah, you're kind of screwed because that's what would happen in real life, you know? Someone slashed you with a sword, like you're it's kind of over for you.
If there's two people fighting you, you're gonna lose that fight. That's what my friend always used them. So he loved that aspect of the game. Which of course you're not gonna win that fight.
Yeah.
Even though later on you're gonna win those fights, but like in the beginning, the immersion is there. You know what's funny about that video is that I went to the Discord chat that they had, and I like welcome everyone to like look at the video and like criticize me and like let's have a discussion. And actually, they would. What was interesting to me is like people would actually engage with me, and like they would be like, oh, that's good, but this part I don't like. And somebody like jumped into the chat and he was like, okay man, I liked your video, but I think there you were a little bit surface level. Well, so it's very fun to see that there's a lot of passion to the community, and you don't see that in the other communities of games, you know. But this one is like people are dedicated and they keep on posting as well.
Yeah, and I think it's because of that kind of difficulty spike. It's the same way like how obsessive the Dark Souls community is, that kind of stuff. Kind of reminds me of that.
You're one of those, right?
I've actually not been super into Dark Souls. I've tried it multiple times, but it wasn't until Elden Ring I was actually able to actually get through it all. Yeah, so I tried playing Bloodborne back in 2016. I got a couple hours in and was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then I just kept dying to like the same like lonesome enemy. I was like, okay, this is getting a bit much. Then I got lost. I was like, okay, whatever. Fast forward a few more years, I play Sekiro. And I just kept dying to the same boss. It was like Drunken Juzo or something like that. He was like the 4th or 5th boss or something like that. I was like, and I just couldn't like parry him, which is like kind of what I've been taught at that entire point. I'm guessing I was doing something wrong in terms of like actually countering my opponent. Anyways, and then I played Dark Souls 1 this year actually, because I wanted to play it before Elden Ring came out, and I enjoyed that a lot more. The issue why I stopped was because I got cursed at this place. A curse is like a ailment where it will automatically kill you, and then when you respawn, half your health is gone. And so like, but like I made it all the way to like this like really beautiful like beach where like these giant world trees are like completely surrounding you, and there's like a hydra over to your right, and like these giant clams, I want to say. It was a really surreal spot, but I had half health permanently. So I was just kind of stuck there, and I didn't want to, and I knew where to get the item to like heal myself, but I would have to go through a bunch of bullshit to get it. And I didn't really want to do that. So I kind of put the game on pause for a little while, and then I played Elden Ring, and I absolutely enjoyed every second of it.
But I think you led to the question I was gonna ask, and that's like why Elden Ring and one of the other ones. I think it's because in Elden Ring it's just like I'm losing here, I'm gonna go the other way now, I'm gonna do something else, right? But in the other games you don't have that option. Yeah,
like I said, like I was just kind of stuck at all these points, and I was stuck at some points in Elden Ring, but I knew especially like in the first beginning part of it, like the way Elden Ring works is like, imagine like there's like different branches of paths you can go to, and you get to a certain point in a specific path, and there's just like a little roadblock there. So you just gotta like keep in your mind, okay, X, like a big red X there, can't go there anymore. So you backtrack, go to the next point, another big red X, and you just keep on doing that over and over until finally you can find a path that gets you through all the stuff. It's like, okay, cool, I found a path. and then you decide to go back through the other path. Turns out you can beat that, and then you can beat that and that and that, and then it just kind of it really just kind of shows like how far you've come in that period of time. And it's really interesting, like just like the game design part of it. I don't know.
Question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I guess we're gonna be running into this problem. I don't know where you stop it and where I begin because I think there's a delay. But again, anyhow, it should be fine. I have a question for you because what you said now. Do you think that this whole like discussion about how the Elden Ring's design is so like it empowers the player, it trusts you to make your own decisions, like it doesn't treat you like a kid? Do you think this whole discussion is relevant because all of the other games suck at doing that so much that it makes Elden Ring look good? So in a world where we don't have Ubisoft making everything like annoyingly stupid for people to figure out, do you think in a world where that doesn't exist that Elden Ring would be looked down upon for being like not showing you anything?
I don't think gamers look at it that way. I do think Western developers look at it that way. I don't know if you heard of like the controversy behind it, but a lot of like the Western developers at Guerrilla Games and Ubisoft are like, oh, this is terrible quest design.
That doesn't exist. I think the joke was like, oh, very nice. Doesn't even like it's not even there, right?
Yeah, and I covered this a little bit in my Elden Ring video, but I
got it inspired from that. Yeah,
it's kind of like, and this is actually another thing that Yahtzee Croshaw kind of brought up. Was like open world JRPGs, you know, like your Shadow of the Colossus, Yakuza, Nier Automata, Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring. They kind of just like they don't really care if you don't find something. Even like some of the older Final Fantasies, like, you know, like there's like a bunch of like secret areas you can go to, but like you don't really need to go there. Like the game doesn't ever push you there. Because they don't really care, and because of that they want to ensure that every part of it is interesting. But Western developers are like, oh wow, like you'll see little dialogue things like, oh wow, this area looks so nice, or like in Horizon Zero Dawn 2, like I reached like this beautiful like forest, like this tree people city where like all their houses are on these giant sequoias or sequoia looking trees, and like it's this beautiful environment, and Aloy just says, oh man, I should really like look around and do some side quests before I move on to the main mission. And like she doesn't say this exact words, but it's something really darn close to it. And it's like the developers kind of want to push you to like, and those developers push you to, you know, finding stuff out.
Or just a quick comment there, like or you would see a ledge that if you've been playing the game for like hours and you know that you can climb, she'll be like, oh, I bet I can climb that ledge.
It feels exactly like that. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, you're like, okay, instead of creating these scripted moments, we're just going to let you do whatever the fuck you want. And I think that's a really interesting design philosophy that I think at least at this point more people will start to talk about as we start to see more Breath of the Wild influenced games, because now it's 2022. It's been about 5 years. So I think we're going to start seeing those games inspired by that aren't just like direct copies like Genshin Impact and Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, I think we're heading that way now. We're going to like
Elden Ring's a really good example of that. Everyone's like really comparing that to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and it's so successful. Like it's sold like what's the hotcakes? What's the phrase? It's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, that's
how, I'm wondering, but they managed to do it somehow. So yeah, good for them. And that's gonna mean that a lot of people are gonna be copying that success, you know. So that's either good or bad. We'll see. I have another question for you. I know I'm doing a switcheroo on the interviewer. Guesting.
I mean, we can do this for as long as we want. I don't mind.
Why did you start your YouTube channel?
That was gonna be my starting question for you.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
But I guess
can I swear or not? I don't know. What's the rules?
I don't fucking care, dude.
Okay.
Fuck.
So.
So
are you gonna ask it, or do you want to answer your own question first?
I'll answer it. I'm just trying to get my words together.
No, get your
I think the main reason why I started was just because it made me happy to talk about games. Like originally, I was originally in a journalism class back in college, and I wanted to just kind of do some stuff with that. So I started my Breath of the Wild review. It's like, oh wow, yeah, that was kind of fun. And I started a couple other reviews after that. Kingdom Hearts and Super Mario. Like I had 2 videos ready to go, and then I went into the military for 4 years. And so I kind of had to put all that on hold.
Probably an interesting discussion for the future.
Probably not. I never want to. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
That's just kind of a me thing. And then, I kind of like got through my 4 years. I got out, and then it was like towards the end of my time there, and I was like, okay, I want to. And I had about like 6 months to where I wasn't really doing anything. I just kind of like showed up for work, and then because I was getting ready to leave, they didn't really have anything for me to do. So I would just kind of show up for work, do a couple things, and I get home at like noon. So I had a bunch of free time on my hands. I was like, well, let's do this little YouTube thing. Let's retry it. And so I did Last of Us. I really enjoyed it. It really brought some joy into my life. And so I just kept doing them. Then some living arrangement stuff had to shift, so I had to take a break from YouTube for a few months. Got back into it this year, and I've just been cranking out videos. Elden Ring took a couple months, but yeah. But yeah, it just makes me happy, And I guess the second reason is that I feel like reviewers kind of always talk about the same things. It's just like, oh yeah, the graphics look pretty good, or oh yeah, here's the story of the game, and it just kind of. I think that's cool, but like for me at least, if you're recommending a game, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to like kind of spoil a lot of the game. And like I want to go more into like, oh, this game really makes you feel like Batman, Like how does the impact of like a punch from Batman feel? That's kind of my opinion of it. Like just kind of like the feel of it all, and just like the emotions that kind of like rise out through you as you're playing the game. That's kind of more I want to kind of focus on.
Okay.
But yeah. So why did you start YouTube?
It's kind of, I think the first there's a similarity in the first reason. Like, okay, so I was studying. I was having a very good life. I was like, I was hanging out with friends. Everything in my life seemed to be going in the right direction, but nothing gave me that fulfillment as like making videos does. There's just something about making something from beginning to end and pouring in all of your like creativity that it's like you cannot compare with anything else ever. Like any job that I've done was like, oh, there's always something lacking. And when you make videos, this something clicks very well. I can see what's like the monk thing, like actualization. Like reaching something higher. That's what it feels to me making videos. Like if life had a meaning, it would be making videos, because it gave me so much like fulfillment.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's like for different people it's different things, but like it's something about this process was so satisfying to me. And like when I finish a video and like I export it, I just get this like surge of dopamine, and it just feels very good. Maybe it's like a drug when you think about it. Hopefully we will not get addicted. But the second reason I think we kind of disagree, because for me, my favorite thing about watching other people's content was the idea of like breaking down something, dissecting it. There's this saying that a joke is like a frog when you dissect it. So like if you open it up and look at different things, then you learn a lot, but it's dead. I actually don't agree with that when it comes to video games, because like for me, the more you talk about something, the more you break it down, the more it becomes interesting to me. So I like when people go into spoilers. I like when they take 5 hours to explain the story. There's this guy called White Light. Do you know him?
Yeah. I've seen a few of his videos.
he made like a 7-hour video on like Death Stranding. I'm like, how the fuck? What is he talking about for 7 hours? And I watched the whole video. So now I know what he talked for 7 hours. So like, there's something about these kinds of videos that I was like, I want to make a video like that. It's very niche. Nobody cares about it, but I care about it. I think it's very satisfying, so I want to make it. So that's how it started. That was the main like push. And I always liked making videos, like as a kid, so just building on that, I guess.
Yeah.
But oh fuck, I should mention this as well. There's this weird feeling. Like I was watching Matthew Matoses.
Mm-hmm.
For me, he's like the grandfather of all the like analysis videos.
Yeah, he's an OG.
Yeah, and like when he would say something about a game, like Metal Gear, I'm like a huge Metal Gear fan. It's one of my favorite series of all time, probably my favorite series of all time. Like he would say something about the game that I was thinking while playing the game that no one else had expressed until I saw his video, and that just feels very nice, you know, like when someone mirrors your opinion about something when it's like super specific, that gives you a sense of like, I don't fucking know, man. Like that feeling I wanted to recreate in other people if I were to do the same thing. Like, what if I can say something that it was your thought and you thought it was only your thought, but now I say it as well in the video, and it gives you a wonderful feeling. So
yeah,
that's also something that I cared.
Yeah, there's this saying I've heard a couple times whenever I try to like improve on YouTube. Like I watch a lot of like content creator like improvement channels, and this one saying I heard that kind of stuck with me was, there in the world out there's probably 1 million people out there who are exactly like you, who have the same thoughts in their head every single day, and your goal is to try to just be as much of yourself as possible to find those 1 million people.
Yeah.
And
sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of seen that with some of my own comments, like, oh yeah, dude, this is exactly how I feel about the game. Or like I'm watching another content creator like, yes, this is exactly how the game feels to me.
But I don't know how you feel about that, but I don't feel like I'm there at all. Like I feel like there's so many layers that I have to break. Like again, I'm so awkward when I do my recording. When I do the camera stuff, I don't feel like that's on me. That's still me making a video, you know. There's like something in between. There's noise, so I don't feel myself yet.
Yeah,
do you feel the same?
Well, yeah, like whenever I talk, I kind of like do this. I do a little flavor in my voice. It's like, oh yeah, you know, like kind of like that. You know, you kind of have to sometimes put a little bit of energy into yourself, because like normally you're not at like 100% energy all the time. Sometimes you just want to like chill, you know. And
it's kind of weird. I think my normal way of speaking is much more energetic than my recording, though. That's my problem. Like I feel like what the end product of my voice when I make a video doesn't sound like as high energy as I am normally. That's what bothers me about it. Like it doesn't feel myself in that kind of way, you know.
Well, maybe it's just the way you're used to reading then.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're just used to like reading out of a book, like out of a textbook or something, like in class.
Yeah.
For me, I used to be, I wasn't good at it, but I was like doing acting in high school and a little bit in college. So for me, I was like used to like you know, putting a little bit of spin on something. So that's kind of how I kind of go about it sometimes. At least that's how tips? I am now. Huh?
Do you have any tips on like how do you prepare before like a recording or something? Like how do you prepare yourself mentally?
Honestly, I just read the script a ton of times and just figure out like, okay, how do I want to emphasize this word? How do I want to just go through that? It's just putting in a lot of effort and just in going through the right process of thinking.
But I think it's more it's gonna be a little bit more harder for me, because my kind of the videos I want to make, there should be like 40, 50, 1 hour videos. I cannot do that for all those, right? I have other things to do in the day.
Well, like I said, you're the only person who can reach those million people who think just like you. So just I don't know, sometimes you just shouldn't just overthink it. Like there are a ton of content creators out there who just kind of just read off a script and just kind of do it. White Light's a really good example. Moist Critical, really good example. Guy just sits in front of a camera for 10 minutes and just expounds on whatever he's feeling like, with like the same monotone voice every single day. It's kind of crazy how successful he is doing that kind of style. But
I have a question for you again. How do you feel your content fares compared to more successful channels? Like, I'm pretty sure there's some channels that you're like, oh my god, that's amazing. But don't you also feel like, why does he get so many more views than I do? Do you get that feeling at all?
Sometimes. Not all the time, because that's just YouTube being its thing. Like there was a creator I was watching. He has about like 13,000. I think his name is like Nems Compoundamenium or something like that. He's about 13,000 subs. But like all he talks about is JRPGs. Like he talks about Persona and Kingdom Hearts. And YouTube kind of sees that and was like, okay, this guy has a really specific niche, and so he dishes out all of his videos to people who only kind of just watch JRPGs. So that's kind of how YouTube works. Like for me, I don't think I really have like a specific niche of games. I've talked about a ton of different games, from like brand new games like Cyberpunk and Elden Ring. So YouTube might think, oh, maybe guys who like modern games play that. But then I also dish out like the retro review. Like I'll do like Halo, Kingdom Hearts, Metal Gear Solid and Super Metroid. And then I'll also do like these really obscure indie games like Omori. It's like, so I don't think YouTube really has like the data it needs to like kind of send those videos out. And a part of me like kind of feels like I should force myself to do that, but another part of me is like, yeah, but you wouldn't really enjoy doing that. So I'm just gonna keep making the best video I can and just hope people share it. And yeah, I'm not really gonna make algorithm that's super friendly to or content that's super friendly towards an algorithm over like my own personal satisfaction,
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as well. Like, I know I can see the road of hunting trends and hunting how the algorithm works, because I mean it's kind of it was part of my studies as well, as like I did communications as my studies. So you can see that road, but then you also see like, okay, if I start thinking about it in such terms, then I'm gonna lose what's nice about this. Then if it's gonna be like a job.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
It's gonna feel less like a hobby and more like a job. Yeah.
So it's like throwing the baby with a bathwater. What's the saying again? You throw away you haven't heard that?
No, that's a new one to me.
Yeah. It's like when you try to fix something, when you ended up eliminating what was good about it as well. When you try to treat something, I guess you should say. So I mean, for me, the worst, the saddest part is not like comparing myself to others and saying like, oh my god, I'm so much better. Because usually I'm like, oh my god, I suck ass. Like my microphone quality, so everything. I can only see flaws. Because there are only flaws now in the beginning, right? But the worst is when I see somebody putting so much effort. And like there was this guy, I don't even remember his name. Like he had like very few subs, and he was making this 2-hour videos of analyzing. I don't remember which games now, like Kingdom Hearts or something. And he had like fewer views than me, and I don't have a lot of views. So I'm like, why does he have such few views? There's so much effort. There's so much time of this person's day that he took to write the script and do everything. Like, why does he get such few views? So that's the part that saddens me, when I see content creators like that.
Well, at that point, you just kind of, at this point in YouTube, you have to enjoy what you make, because if you're only doing it to get views and stuff like that, then I don't think this is a job for you, because you have to be okay with not having even just having over 100 views, sometimes not even having over 50 views. Like you have to come up with that expectation, which can make it hard. But if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not really that big of a deal. Like for me, I know as long as I just keep on improving my videos, keep improving my thumbnails, keep improving my titles, I'll eventually hit that point to where, the algorithm will catch this video and it will start getting more popular. Like my Elden Ring video, when I first released it, within 24 hours, that's kind of when like you kind of reach like your max, like your peak viewership. Elden Ring did something really weird. It peaked at around 40 views. I was really disappointed. I was like, oh man, that sucks. So I released a couple shorts in between, and those got a ton of traction. And so the Elden Ring video got a little bit more traction. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I before, I don't know if you noticed that, but before, all my videos had like this really, I'm not gonna say shitty, but very eye-popping white border around it. It's kind of like what you have on yours, but it was just like a completely white border. Because I thought it would add a little bit more branding to my channel. And I was like, well, let's take them all off. Let's see what happens after that. And then after that, the Elden Ring video started to gain a ton more traction. Like within the course of just last week, it gained like an extra 50 views, and right now it's at 147 views today from 40 from a few weeks ago. So I know now that YouTube is recommending my content to people. I just have to keep putting out content, good content, and I'm just gonna kind of just enjoy the process. And that's kind of what's really nice, because I've made before my power went out, I made 2 scripts. One of the audio is ready to go, and I did it way more fast than I used to because I was actually doing games and topics I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, it flows much better when you want to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It doesn't feel my last video, Kirby. I wanted to talk about it because I thought I'd have fun with it, but I just could not make like a normal 5-minute long script. And I was like, well, it's okay. And so I tried to cut out as much as I could, but like it still felt awkward to talk about because I didn't really have that same passion about that game like I do with Elden Ring or Kingdom Hearts or Omori or any of those other games that gained a lot of viewership. And it showed that in the views. Or like in the retention rate. Like the retention rate was only at like I think 20% with 20 plus views. So people weren't interested in like a subpar take of it. So
yeah. I think if you look at a lot of other channels, like the video that like made them blue was a video that they're like, I'm super passionate about this game, and they would bring like a very unique perspective on it. Like, oh, I'm Russian, and because I'm Russian, I know this and this about this game, you know. So like if you look at a bunch of content creators, you'll see that the video that broke their what should we say, like made them popular was one that they just had like a special relationship with, you know. It was never the video that they sound the most bored and the most like surface level. So yeah, it's both. Like if you don't do that, then you're never gonna succeed as well, I think.
Yeah. It's not even that. You just have to enjoy the ride. No matter how slow it takes. Like if you view YouTube as like a roller coaster, you're probably gonna be on that incline like before you get to that peak for a very, very long time. And you just kind of have to enjoy the view while you're going up it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. But what do you do aside from making video content? Like, what's your normal name, by the way?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that.
Oh, okay. You also don't want to show your face as well in your content. Like, is this something?
Yeah. That's just kind of how I want to do things.
Why? Like, is it because you really don't want people to see your face, or is it because you're like, I want to leave it for later, kind of thing?
For now, I just don't want my. Well, one, I don't want that to be the focus of my videos. I just want it to be just about the games. Before I used to have like this little cartoon face in most of my videos, in like some of my earlier content, and then I just I wanted to stop using it because I felt that was kind of taking away from the game, or like from the conversation I was having. So I'm trying to use that less and less for each video. It's just kind of a me thing. Plus, I just don't like. I don't want to make my. I think in a world where already it's so creator focused, I just don't want to be kind of part of that discussion. I don't know. I'm just weird. I'm awkward. I'm shy.
Yeah, but do you think like I don't know, like it feels like what we do is because it's about video games, like that doesn't really happen, right? Like you always think the content that the creator makes instead of the creator usually. I don't know. Like
it depends on the type of video. Like if White Light, for example, his format is a lot more about audio commentary, whereas someone like Donkey or Yahtzee is based a lot more around their personality. You know, I don't know. It's just a me thing. Like say for example, my videos do blow up and I get 300,000 subscribers at one point. And I don't want people to like come up to my doorstep and say, "Hey, I'm a big fan of you." It's like, okay, cool, and then they just won't leave. I don't know. It's like a weird fear I have.
Okay, I mean, I would enjoy that if that were to ever happen. I think that it's so improbable though. Like if you're gonna make such a niche. If you're targeting such a niche market of people, like I'm trying to target myself as an audience. Like what I like to watch in videos, I'm trying to make those videos for myself. So like, how many me are there? You said like there could be 1 million, but if you spread that throughout the whole world, like what are the odds you're gonna meet these people? If that were to happen, I'll be very happy. But I guess it's a different perspective when it comes to that, right?
Yeah. Like I said, it just depends on how you view things. For me, I'm just a very private person. I don't really need people to know everything about me. or anything for that matter.
I mostly just don't care about it at all. Like I don't care. Like I don't feel like there's anything worth hiding. Like I don't like whatever. You can know my name. You can know what I do on Instagram. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't. It just doesn't matter to me at all.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to say what my way's better, your way's better, or anything like that. No. It's just a personal thing.
Oh, it's interesting because we're the total opposites when it comes to that. Like I'm literally putting my name there.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, not even my face. Not
and
my
that's
name.
just you as a person. Like I said, there are people like that who think the same way that you do, and you will eventually start attracting those people. Just the same way I'll eventually start attracting people who think like me. And that's just kind of how, and that's kind of what's so cool about YouTube is that you can find people who are like you. And it's very relatable.
But it's very interesting what you said, because you said like you're afraid that it will detract from what you're trying to say with the video, about the game itself. And there's this creator, I don't know if you know him, his name is like Your Favorite Son. Do you know him?
No, I don't actually.
Yeah, he's also very small. He's growing now. I think he's ready for that big like boom. And he like in the beginning, some of his videos he would be on the camera like me in the beginning. He would do the intro, like trying to have a hook, blah blah, and talk about what he's gonna be analyzing. And then throughout the whole video, it will be no face, like you will not see his face, just the game itself. And then in the end, he will come back again with his face. And in his new videos, he doesn't do that. And I'm like, what is he? Was that to save time? Was that because he felt like this is not me? Like it would be very interesting to have a discussion with him. Maybe you should invite him to your podcast for the next episode.
If I can get a 33,000 subscriber channel on my podcast, that'd be very cool.
You checked him out as we were speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
I do like his thumbnails. They're very detailed.
Yeah, and I love the game that he talks about. But I think he wanted, like, I don't know if he has answered this, but like, why the fuck does he always say, "Hi Dad, I'm your favorite son"? Like he always does it before he starts the actual video. I'm like, why? Like I think he wanted to create intrigue around that sentence.
Yeah.
Favorite son.
Like I said, it's like it's a weird thing that someone uses. Like Drew Gooden, I don't know. He's a very popular up and coming YouTuber. He's not a reviewer. He's just like I guess he talks more about like TV shows. That's kind of his thing. But like he always says "Hi guy." That's his intro. He doesn't say guys. He says guy. It's a very specific and weird thing that like kind of just catches your eye. I don't know, maybe he has a weird relationship with his dad or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? That's the story that I want to know. I think it has to be about creating intrigue, because I think he puts a lot of effort in his branding. Your favorite son. I mean, like I see that all the videos share like a common template. The structure is similar, so probably he's doing it on purpose. Anyhow, we need to learn. Please bring him on your podcast.
I'll see if I can, like I said, if I can get this guy on my podcast, that'd be pretty dope.
He's still small enough, so maybe he'll be willing,
Maybe.
Then I will be like a surprise guest, because I'll be like, I will interrogate him the whole time.
So speaking of branding, how would you describe your branding of channels? Like, what if you could describe your channel in like a single sentence? How would you do it?
Well, I mean, I don't think I have a clear answer to that.
Yeah.
It's like there is what I want my channel to be, and I think what it is now, and it's like in a transitioning period. I want to become an analysis channel. So with one word, analysis. Like I want to break down games as Matthew Matosis does, or did, I guess, or like White Light does. That is my goal. But I wanted to start small, because I was like, if my first video is 50 minutes, I'm never gonna make it. I don't think I'm gonna have the necessary like patience to get there. So I will start small, and then as I get more confident, I will go for like the 30, 40, 50 1-hour videos. So one word, analysis, I guess. Does that make sense? Or
wait, a one word analysis?
The one word to describe the channel will be analysis.
Video game analysis. Okay.
Let's put a hyphen there.
Yeah, but there's like a lot of video game analysis channels. Like we've already discussed. Like probably we're probably already in the double digits right now with how many we've discussed. And a lot, and like even just looking at Favorite Son right now, he looks like he focuses a lot on like Silent Hill, Devil May Cry. So probably like a lot of the plays. Actually, no, he even has a Fable video. Interesting.
What separates me from the norm is your question or not?
Kind of like, because like there can be like a retro analysis channel, but like I don't know. I do you think like having a focus, like a specific focus, would like help at all?
I think it would, and the focus would be this like the promise that I want to make to the future viewer would be that if you come to my channel, you're gonna get this like super detailed videos that will break down all the aspects of the game, and that's not too widespread, I think. And it depends on like what games can I touch that you are not aware of. So in the beginning, I wanted to create this series called Games to Play Before You Die. So it would be each video will be about a game that I think it's worth playing, like, and I would try to like argue why you would, and that's nice. But I want to also do it like in an analysis form. So thinking in the terms that you're saying, like, oh, what do I bring to the table? I'll be like, I'll bring to the table like the series that will go back in time, because like sometimes we focus too much on like what's trending, and just kind of bring to people's sites games that they have missed and they really ought to play. And I don't think too many people do that, and I don't think a lot of people do it in the extent of like indies that I want to do it, you know. Like, how many people have made a video about the swapper, which is also a bad thing, right? Because it means that you're not going to get anybody to watch it because nobody knows about it. But if one person loves it and he watches my video, I'll be happy, you know. Like, I want to get those kinds of people. So
well, yeah. So in my opinion, I think a good YouTuber should be able to promote literally anything and have it get a high amount of views. Like, I actually have heard of the swapper before I saw your video on it. I actually knew about it. It's on my Steam library. I haven't played it yet, but a friend of mine recommended it to me. I saw some trailers, like, oh, whoa, this game looks cool. So I saw your video on it. I was like, yo, someone actually knows about the swapper. That's crazy. Yeah. But like, there's been like a couple like small-time indie games I've seen, like Iron Lung. I don't know if you heard about it or not. It's like a submarine horror simulator, I guess.
What was it called? Iron what?
Iron Lung. But like, there's a couple videos, like reviews on it that have like 1 million views, and like they just, and like their thumbnails are so insanely good. Like, like if you just want to look it up real quick, Iron Lung review, it should be like one of the first things you see. Yeah, Iron Lung is absolutely terrifying, and it's just like this incredibly distorted image of like a red skull and bones, and it's so terrifying. It has 3.4 million views.
Iron Lung, but wait, I see that Jacksepticeye made a...
Yeah, I know Jack made it, but like it's just like specifically a review. It's by a guy named Power Pack with just the K at the end. It's like the first thing you type up if you see Iron Lung review.
Yeah, I see.
So, and like when I see videos like this, I'm like, okay, so it is possible to, you know, play like this really small indie game and then like have it kind of blow up. And I've seen a couple of others videos. He focuses a lot on like indie horrors, and it's really interesting. Like, I want to.
He's the exception, right? He's not the rule, because his other videos like don't have the 2 million views. They're much more like subdued.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, but I guess, but.
That could happen, but like it's very unlikely. And like I was aware going into the swapper that nobody's gonna watch this video, but like.
Yeah, I mean, but like even when I did Omori, it was the first video that ever hit 100 views for me, and I was surprised how quickly it got to it, even though I reviewed some other games like The Last of Us, and and it just kind of surprised me how well it did compared to all the other games. So it kind of like every video I do, it kind of just surprises me, like how little or how much traction it gets in a short amount of time. I think all that is just due to the kind of just title, thumbnail, good 30-second intro. I think if you can perfect that, you can kind of talk about anything you want, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. If you can get people through the door, then if you have a good case to make, then you should be able to persuade them to stay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the future? What's like what's your next projects? Have you thought about that, or?
Yeah, I'm working on 2 videos right now. I'm getting ready for E3. Gonna make another E3 video just because that was actually really fun to make. It's probably one of my more fun videos, just because like I'm talking about a bunch of different things, and I get to like mix up the editing style and the commentary and the music. Like whenever I make a game, like I feel like I'm always using like I'm just completely focused on that one game for like 2 weeks, where like I'm just listening to the game's music. I'm going through other game reviews to like make sure I'm not copying anyone. And just kind of just hyper focusing on the game for 2 weeks, and then just burnt out on that game for.
I thought about that as well, but like the odds of copying someone are like it's impossible, right? How are you gonna? It's very difficult to say the same things like somebody else without seeing their videos. Usually, like it's very very uncommon, I think.
Yeah. Well, actually, one time when I was making my Halo review, I kind of forgot about this, but I wouldn't say it copied, but like I kind of.
Inspired?
Well, inspired would mean I would have to remember it, but I guess my ideas were subtly influenced by Donkey's Xbox Has Fallen video. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but
no?
He makes like a grand comparison of Xbox and Sony, where it's like, oh yeah, this game on Sony released, then this game, and then for my Halo intro, I did the exact same thing. It was like, oh yeah, this game, like Sony was like firing up on all cylinders, firing like, Klonoa 2, Silent Hill 2, Final Fantasy 10, Jak and Daxter. Just like firing all these cylinders, like, oh dude, Microsoft, they gotta get ready, dog. Like if they're not ready, they're gonna be the next Dreamcast. And then they did. Then they released Halo and everything changed. And for me, they feel like Super Sim was like, what did I do?
But you didn't. That was not a conscious thing, right?
I guess it wasn't trying to copy it. Like it was like I didn't see. It was like, oh yeah, this would be like a perfect intro for me. It was just like a really subtle thing. It was like because I really wanted to like talk about all the Sony games that released, and like I wanted to do like a cool like a cool Sony PS2 remix vibe kind of thing, and I felt it worked. But it also made me feel like I was copying Donkey.
I mean, it's kind of weird because you cannot isolate yourself in a cabin and just make videos so you have 0% like influence from other creators, right?
Yeah.
I think we should kind of embrace that that's gonna happen and like just let it morph into something, because it will start from his influence and it will have to morph to something else in the end.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
like I think you should just let it do its thing to you.
Yeah, I'm not like super hung up about it. I was just using it as an example, but yeah, you gotta like take the inspiration from other creators. And you will make similar content to those people, but eventually it's gonna morph into something else. Like think of like the first big like early YouTubers, like Nostalgia Critic. Everyone was making videos like Nostalgia Critic, but then eventually it started to morph into its own thing. And now we have like an entire genre of like really well-known YouTubers who just talk about video games. Yeah. And like a lot of them feel distinct and unique, and it just kind of all started with people being inspired by Nostalgia Critic.
And now he's like old in quote.
Like, yeah.
He feels old now. His content feels like archaic.
Well, like I said, it's because everyone copied him.
Yeah.
Like he still has that respect. I feel like whenever like people talk, I was like, oh yeah, Nostalgia Critic and all that. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but there was like a huge it was not a controversy. Like everybody was like making negative videos about one review he made.
Yeah,
Do you know about that?
Yeah,
the wall. Yes, you know about that, right?
I know about it. I didn't watch it because it was like an hour and a half, and I did not know what the wall was.
Yeah. Well, I watched the reactions to it mostly, but they talk about every single aspect of his review, so you kind of get most of it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that was also one point. I was like, when I was watching Nostalgia Critic as I was growing up, and like I was always like, I knew that something was always off in his videos, but I was like, whatever, Like there was jokes that were not landing and things that would be like, why are you doing this? And those criticisms that they made because of his review of The Wall, I was like, that's so true. Finally, somebody actually said the things that were always in my head, like nested there. But now they're like articulated and expressed in a way that I can see it, because something can be in your head and it's blurry, but someone puts it in a sentence in a very clear way, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I meant. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened with me with those criticisms. But anyhow, that's not what we're talking about. I got lost there.
Well, I actually have a question then. How do you feel about like reviewing a product that isn't like a video game, like a film or a TV show? How would you feel about doing that?
No, that would be very interesting. But I don't want to. I'm trying to avoid what you said before. Like, I don't want to make a channel about everything. You know, I like the idea of making it focused on this thing. But for example, I saw the Batman like a few months ago, and I was like, oh fuck, I could make a video about this because I have something interesting to say about it. But it was a weird time, and I didn't have time to do it. But like, I would do it. I think in another universe, in another dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, it was so refreshing. I saw it with my girlfriend, and like, it was so refreshing to see a movie that was like so noir, but like we love mystery and crime with my girlfriend. Like, we could watch all the fucking Netflix serial killer stuff, and that one was a movie that had like those aspects that make you intrigued, but also like again, the noir thing about it. And it was Batman as well, and we loved the soundtrack. I don't know, there's a lot of things fell into place, and they were super nice about that movie. Did you watch it, by the way?
I have not yet.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I just moved to another state, so I don't really have like a ton of friends to go to the movies with. I have been trying to go see some new movies. Like I saw Doctor Strange. I just saw yesterday. It was a really interesting movie. It was called Everywhere and Everything All at Once. It's about like this. Do you care if I go into it or not? So it's about like this about this Asian couple, specifically the Asian wife, who is like going through like a midlife crisis almost, but then like multi-universal beings invade her universe, and then she has to like inherit the personalities of her other multiversal beings to like be really good at fighting these people and like use like these really weird skills, and like it just kind of morphs into like this, from like this action fest to like family intervention to this like entire philosophical talk about like existence, and like how as we as humans have like learned more about like the universe and like the multiverse and things like that, just kind of shows how like small we actually are and insignificant everything we do is. It was very nihilistic, but then it morphed into like this multicolored love story, and then like it talked about suicide, and it was just like a whole bunch of different things. I was like, whoa, dude. And this all happened in the course of like 20 minutes. It's a very, very strange movie, but I loved every second of it.
Why don't you make a video about it?
I was genuinely thinking about that, because like it touched me so much. Like I like when the credits rolled, I wanted to start like it was really weird. Like when the credits rolled, like, you know, like besides like a Marvel movie, how like everyone would normally just get out of their seats right away and leave.
Yeah,
it was very strange, because in like the first 5 or so minutes, everyone was just staying seated, just like kind of. I don't really know if I have the right to see what their feelings are, but I have the feeling that they were just kind of like awestruck at the whole thing.
Yeah,
and like this beautiful song was playing during the credits, and you just wanted to just get up and start applauding it. Like it was just like that good of a movie.
What was the name again?
Everything and Everywhere All at Once.
Okay, that's funny. It's a weird title as well.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, because like at first I'm not going to go any more into the plot, but it was a very interesting movie that was just visually very fun to watch, had a really strong message that it was shoving in your face. And like you just kind of agree with like the original message, but then like at the very last minute, like, no, it's about this. Like this is what you can't think that way. You got to think it like this. And like, oh shoot, they're right. I was tricked. The villains were like the antagonists were so good at making me believe this message that like and then like it's a very good movie that I would recommend to almost everyone.
Okay, I'm sold. Like, but that's the thing. Like for me, if somebody wanted to recommend me something, I would always be like, give me the least amount of information you can, but enough to get me to actually do the thing you want me to do, because I don't like spoilers in any like shape, way, or form. But most people don't operate in that way. Like most people, if you don't give them something intriguing from the plot or something like that you would want to keep as a surprise, they will never do the thing that you want them to do, even though you like guarantee to them that they're gonna love it. And that's that's the paradox. Like that's the problem with this thing. Like if you don't give enough, then you're not gonna get them through the door.
Exactly. Like, and that's my problem with a lot of reviews is that like they just give you the whole plot. They're trying to recommend you a game, but they don't try to entice you with it. Like for me, you gotta treat it like a carrot on a stick, right? You know, like you want them to like get a little nibble, but then you want to pull it back so they like try to get a nibble of it more, and until eventually they lead you to the game. It's like, play this, please. Like I can talk about this game all I want. I would love to. I would love to make actually I wouldn't love to make a 50-minute video, but I could talk about this game all day. But my goal is to get you to play it. It's not to get you to understand. It's to get you to play it. And I personally feel if I share the entire story with you, or at least like try to spoil a lot of it, it kind of takes that away. It kind of takes like the magic of enjoying it for that first time, you know?
Yeah, I think when you make a long form video, like an analysis video, like 2-3 hours or 1.5 or 40 minutes, then you're assuming that the person has already played it and then they're coming to the video, or you want to give them like in the first 10 minutes, like, oh, this was like a spoiler-free part, then go play the game and join us for the discussion. So I think that's a good way to balance that. But like I had friends that I would like beg them to watch a movie or play a game, and they would just never do it. And I knew that if I went long enough with like spoiling things, then they would be interested. But I never wanted to do it, you know. So it's a problem without a solution. It feels like some people are just very like reluctant to try things, because like if your friend, I should be like an authority. Like if you know that I love movies, right? And if I'm your friend and I'm recommending something, it should be easier for you to do the thing that I want you to do, because I'm like, yeah, you're gonna love it. I know your taste. You're gonna love it. But for me, like to see that it was so difficult with some people to do that, I was like, if I make a YouTube content, I have to really like give a little bit more, because most people are not gonna be like, I don't trust Jordi. Why the fuck would I care what he thinks? So you have to give them more. It was always my assumption, you know.
Yeah, I think at that point it just comes. I think from that perspective, it just comes from like, you know, like who do you want to watch your video? Like, like do you want somebody who just wants to know about the plot? Like for me, I want people that want to play a game, that my viewers can come on and they know, hey, I really want to play a game that you recommend, and tell me why I should, without spoiling it. I'm not saying that's like my niche or anything, but that's kind of the expectation I want to set up.
That's your target audience. Like that's the kind of viewer you would want to be. Viewers, right?
Because that's how I am. Like I want to be recommended a really good game that I want to play. You know,
it's the same logic then with me. Like you're making videos about your targeting yourself, and I'm doing the same thing to me. yeah, with me. Yeah. Okay, but do you have like a list of questions or something like that? Because we've been just going on tangents the whole time.
Yeah, but I mean, not really. I'm just kind of keeping it natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. You know,
but yeah, I guess we can start with a pretty easy question. What's your favorite game of all time? Number 1.
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
What's your favorite game?
Kingdom Hearts 2.
Okay. I have never played Kingdom Hearts, so you can believe it.
Yo.
Yeah.
The curse of Kingdom Hearts 2 is once you play Kingdom Hearts 2, you want to play all the sequel games that come after it, and then you don't want to play any more Kingdom Hearts after that. It's the curse. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 is, in my opinion, the best sequel of all time, and it kind of put the entire story into a very neat little bow that just kind of fixed everything. Like you felt very good about the story's ending, and then like at the very last second they say, oh, stay tuned for the next part, and you're like, and like 9-year-old me is like, oh my god, that's awesome. But like after thinking about the game for, I don't even know how long it's been, 2006, so what, 16 years now? I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, they probably shouldn't have done that. They probably should have just ended it after Kingdom Hearts 2. But that's not how companies work. That's not how franchises work. I understand that, but I don't know. For me, Kingdom Hearts 2 is just kind of like a perfect game.
Do you need to you need to play Kingdom Hearts 1 to play 2, or is it like
so
Okay.
every single game that is made is canon.
Oh.
Even the weird spin-off games like on mobile phones is canon.
Okay.
And that's why it's hard to recommend Kingdom Hearts to people.
It's also because can I even play this? Like need to have a PlayStation 2, right? Or
No. Square Enix has been very, very good about re-releasing all their games. So you can actually play. You can get the entire story on pretty much any console, even Switch and PC, with the Kingdom Hearts Final Mix copies. Yeah. There's like they're like on the Epic Store, the Switch, PS5, Xbox, PS4, even PS3. If you have that. You can play them all on that.
I think I see here that you can play them on PS4, so PS5 as well. To be honest, with Kingdom Hearts, like it's the game that I was always like never engaging to learn. I don't do this rarely, but with Kingdom Hearts, I'm like, this is not for me. That's what it looked like. But if it's your favorite game, there must be something to it, right?
I would recommend the first game just for you to try. If you don't like it, I'm not gonna force you to keep playing it.
You're not gonna come into my house and put a gun on my head. Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe nah.
Yeah, of course.
I try not to force games on people because everyone, like I said, everyone has different feelings on different things. Like for me, I hate roguelikes. You try to recommend me a roguelike and it doesn't have a story to it, like Hades. I'm like, yeah, you can just go away.
Oh, I like roguelikes. Okay.
Yeah, like if you recommend me Enter the Gungeon, I'm like, go away. Yeah, I don't want to play that. And it's not like I don't. It's not like I don't. I hate games that don't have are entirely focused on gameplay. Like I played a couple of Marios. They're pretty fun, and that doesn't have any story to it. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite series of all time, but it's pretty fun. But like if I had to kind of just keep playing the same game over and over, and like the same game loop over and over again, I don't know. For me, it just gets kind of annoying.
Yeah, I have some friends that the only thing that they do is play Call of Duty, online all the time.
Yeah, and I used to play a lot of Overwatch, and I put like hundreds of hours into Overwatch, and then like I kind of just reached this point of where like I've just been playing the same thing for like 2 years now. What the fuck have I been doing? And so I decided to kind of branch out from that, and it's kind of when I did start YouTube and start all that stuff.
Yeah, for me, like I always do it for them, like to like engage with them because we don't live in the same countries with those friends anymore. Like they're from Sweden and stuff like that. So, but it's so like I cannot. I play for 10 minutes, like or half an hour, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Like this is not fun at all. And it's hard to like have a discussion as well because my main goal is to just have a discussion with them while we play games.
Yeah.
And it just feels like you're in what is it, hamster? Like where they run but they don't really go anywhere.
Yeah, hamster in a wheel.
That's what you're doing. You're playing, you're getting XP points, and then you prestige in Call of Duty. Prestige, and then you start from the beginning. Like it makes no fucking sense. Like what's the point of this? Okay, I should. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite now because I do like trophies and I like to earn trophies. So that's also a pointless thing to do.
Well, I think it's a slightly different thing because it's more about like completing the game, right? Or is it just like the dopamine effect you get from getting the trophy?
It's the idea of saying that I completed the game. Yeah,
I think that's fine because games are designed because there are a lot of games out there that are designed around completion.
But the funny thing when you do that is though, for example, in my Bastion analysis, at some point I talk about how probably the developers want you to like experiment with different setups and things like that, but if you play the game long enough you will see that you will not play like that. Like you will see that this gun just doesn't work as well as this, or this power is like 10 times better than everything else. So kind of like, if you play the game long enough it can change, it transforms to something else, and that's what I like when I play something to completion or I play it in like all the hard settings and stuff.
Yeah, from what I noticed was that all the levels they were designed around the specific weapon, which I think is fine. But then, like, after that, like, once you get all the weapons, they just kind of stop doing it, which is weird, because it's, like, what, 3/4 into the game? Or, like, 7/8? It's, like, towards the end when you get all the weapons, right? like
Yeah.
pretty close to the end when you have all the weapons. So you're just kind of, for me at least, I just kind of, I can't even remember the combination I used, but like I just felt like I could just use like this one specific combination to just finish the rest of the game, and I didn't really need to go back and try out all the other weapons and experiment with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult thing.
Yeah, it was still a great game though.
What game have you played so much that your first playthrough was like unrecognizable from your like whatever fifth one or something?
Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
When I got the game back in 2017, I sucked at Hollow Knight compared to how good I am now. Like it took me about 9 hours to get to what's called the City of Tears, which shouldn't take you that long, but for me it took me about 9 hours. When I played it the second time, I got there like within 2.5 hours. I think when I redid when I did my footage for an upcoming video on it that I plan to do, that's one of the first videos I'm doing. I got there within like an hour and a half, and it was very fun. Like, because I was just playing a completely different way because I've done a lot of this other stuff, and it's just a very fun game to just kind of go back and replay and just kind of almost speed run. Like it's a very fun game you just want to speed run through and like do like this no hit run or something crazy like that. Because it's you're very in control of what's going on, and the enemies are very they have a lot of tells of what their attacks are. Like they're very distinct. I wouldn't say like their boss design is like 10 out of 10 boss design, but they are very good at what they do. They're really good check marks and roadblocks to like for exploration, things like that. But yeah, it's. I mean, Kingdom Hearts is another really good one. I remember when I was young, I could never beat Riku, or like he's like the first like quote unquote hard fight in the game. It's like an early boss fight. It's like an optional boss fight that you can do, and it's a really tough fight that I would never recommend to most people. Or you can like fight like 3 of the mini bosses at once, and that's also incredible. It's like, in my opinion, like top 5 hardest fights in Kingdom Hearts is to fight 3 bosses at once. But I was able to do it within like my 4th try. I was like, oh shoot, I'm really good at this game now. And like even like some of the platforming nuances, because Kingdom Hearts is terrible platforming, but like you kind of understand the controls behind it. Like you understand like the angle of jumping and things like that. So you get good at that. Yeah, Hollow Knight definitely.
I was thinking about my own question while you were answering, and I was like, there's some games, because like I've gone for the platinum for a lot of games, that get worse the better you become at it. Like for example, I was playing Death Stranding, and in the beginning, like you're trying to figure out how to like. Have you played Death Stranding, by the way?
I tried.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say I hate it. I'm gonna say it's not for me though, mainly because I hated.
What?
I didn't like sorting through all the menus when you got done with a job.
Yeah, it can get very overwhelming very quickly.
Because one, I didn't know what any of the menus said, and there were so many of them. Like I just kind of like glazed through it all. I don't know if that's the point or not. Like I don't know if you're supposed to just glaze through them all. If that was Kojima's quote like design philosophy.
Meta design.
Yeah, like he wants you. He wants to get in your head. He wants to make you feel like that.
It's an allegory for life,
Yeah, like that. It's like, oh yeah, we just glaze over the little details, don't you? Huh? That's just who you really are, you shitty human.
Yeah, well, the answer to the whole plot is in the details. No, I know. Yeah. I think it was a necessary evil because there's
like is that actually the point of it? Like, are you supposed to just glaze over it?
Yeah,
like
a lot of things.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how you like who finds the patience to, for example, read all the stuff that it has. And there's a lot of things that repeat themselves, but you're like, I know it by now, But yeah. I don't think you can design Death Stranding and have the same like mechanics and not have like a menu that it's annoying. I don't know.
I do.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I do plan on eventually going back and finishing it.
But the point I wanted to make about Death Stranding is that in the beginning you're trying to figure out like, okay, this crazy menu, how to like navigate through it, how to walk in like with a weight shifting, all of that thing, and that's wonderful. But the more you play the game, like you become so good at cheating its mechanics to the point that it's unrecognizably boring. And I know for a lot of people, the base game seems unrecognizably boring. Okay, I get that part, but like you become so efficient with like using the vehicles, and like there's like this what do you call those?
Zip lines.
Zip lines, yeah. And then I was playing the game in the end because I was trying to like get a platinum, and I actually stopped because I was like, what am I doing with my life, kind of thing. I was just playing the game, and it was like the most boring missions in GTA, you know, like when you have to get like a car and go somewhere, pick up something and go. I'm like, what am I doing? This is not the point of the game. Like I've played long enough that now the game doesn't have anything for me, so I just left it there. But there's games that are meant you meant to suck in the beginning and not enjoy it, and then you will enjoy it later. Like have you played Devil May Cry 3, for example?
No, I tried playing Devil May Cry 1, and I did not enjoy it.
You thought it was too difficult, or?
No, it just seemed very boring compared to like some of the other hack and slashes I played. And I get it; it's one of the first real hack and slashes. But even something that was released like a year later, like Kingdom Hearts, I thought was way more fun than Devil May Cry 1. But I have been told that DMC 3 and DMC 4, and of course 5, are all incredibly good, and I should try those instead.
Yeah, I mean,
because I know that DMC, because I know that DMC 2 is like, it's basically an ungame. Like you just don't play DMC 2 basically.
Yeah, you don't do it. Like if you care about anything, you just don't play that one.
So I might just push through DMC 1. That way I can actually, get a feeling for like, how the series has evolved. And then move on to the other fun games.
Mm-hmm. If you care about it, you should do it, but I think it's a very boring time. Like I didn't enjoy DMC 1 that much, to be honest.
Yeah, that's actually kind of my question. Do you feel that you should play bad or boring games as like a contrast to playing like a good game?
Oh, like on purpose? To do it on purpose, you mean?
Yeah, like say I really want to play a really shitty game, so I'll play like Sonic 06, Oh,
I don't actually do that, no. But what you're saying makes sense, like you're cleaning your, what's it called? What's it called? When you drink water after a dish? The pantal cleanse?
Oh, yeah, cleansing your palate.
Yeah, like just like get some terrible tasting like water, and then you will appreciate normal juice or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that because like I'm like, why should I waste my time playing something that I know it's bad? I do with movies. Like I like the idea of watching a bad movie, but knowing that it's a bad movie, because then I can like enjoy other things about the experience. But with games, I don't actually do that. It's kind of
like for example, I don't really know what a good example is.
Well, do you do it? Is it something you do?
No, it's not something I intentionally do. But like when I do play a game I'm not really vibing with, I kind of, but like I wouldn't say I enjoy the experience, but I do try to like figure out, okay, why do I not enjoy this game? Like is it just because of the graphics, or is it because of the gameplay? Is it because of the music? But then like the reason why I ask is because I don't want to get in. I'm afraid that I'll start saying that like a really good game is bad because I played a lot of other really good games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
that could be the case. Yeah.
Like Gears of War. I think Gears of War is a pretty good series, but like compared to a lot of other games, it doesn't feel as good because a lot of other games have like taken inspiration from it, and so it feels a little bit subpar. But I still know it's a good series, but like it just kind of falls. I don't know. It kind of falls flat, even though I know it's still executed well. Like Last of Us 2 is a really, really good example of like a really good game that just like kind of falls in a couple places. For me, it was like the overall, like the very conclusion of its story. I get that, and this is a game I've thought about for a very, very, like I've thought about this game for 3 years straight ever since it released.
You couldn't sleep. You're like, The Last of Us, God damn it.
or sorry, 2 years. Sorry. Like sometimes it keeps me up at night with how much I think about it. And like for me, like the overall message of the game isn't ever clear, or at least it's never portrayed clearly to me. Because like I try to think of like all the morals and themes it's trying to show you, but it was like, well, no, because there's this thing in the way, and then there's this thing in the way. It's not focused on its message because it's trying to do a bunch of different things. And I don't want to say it takes away from the game, because those parts are fun, they're enjoyable, but it kind of, there's like an unfinished unease I feel about it that it kind of just nags me a bit. Even though I know it's a good game and I enjoyed playing it, but there's like a weird feeling about it. And even then something like Cyberpunk 2077, I played that and I genuinely enjoyed it for the most part. It was a genuinely good game. Do I think like mechanically it could have been fixed a bit more? Sure. Do I think like there were like a couple of glitches? Yes. But like from beginning to end, I genuinely enjoyed the game. Some people
I couldn't do it. Like I tried, but I felt like the controls were so non-responsive in Cyberpunk, and I was like, and I waited for the patches. So I waited for the next gen patch, for example, on PlayStation 5. But it just didn't feel nice to play to me.
No, I played it day one.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, I raw dogged it.
Okay, but I really think that it's one of those games that if I give it enough time, it's gonna hook me eventually. Because that's what happened with Witcher 3. Like I played that game for like 7 hours.
Witcher 3 too. Yeah. Like I had to get through the entire prologue, and then like I could finally dig my teeth into it, and it was such a phenomenal game.
Yeah, that one really sneaked up on me. Like I was playing it in the beginning, I was like, I don't get it, but I want to get it. And then at some point I was playing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go get this suit. I'm gonna do this one. I'm like, oh my god, I'm enjoying this so fucking much. What happened? I didn't like. I never was aware of the transition, so like I'm not very much enjoying this game. But it happened somewhere, There was like a gradient of it. But I want to go back a little bit to The Last of Us. I agree with you, but I really loved that game. Like,
it's still a great game. I'm not saying like burn, Naughty Dog.
Those fuckers. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not saying we should do that, but like it did feel like there was a bit of unfocus from the actual theme they were trying to tell.
Yeah. I mean, everybody. Yeah, please.
Because I felt they were so unfocused on Ellie's story because they wanted to focus on Abby's story to create like their own theme with Abby, and it worked. I will say it worked for me at least, but Ellie's conclusion felt so kind of uncertain, and it's probably because they want to set up for Last of Us 3, but it just felt inconclusive, and it was kind of a shame because I don't know, it's just kind of weird for me. I gotta write my thoughts down on that game because that's gonna.
I want to do it eventually as well. I wanted to get The Last of Us, the first one, out of my head, in terms of video, and then I was like, when I make it for The Last of Us 2, I want to be good enough in what I'm doing on YouTube that it will actually be something that I'll be like super proud of. So I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah, but, and that's a question I have because I struggled this a ton. Do you fear talking about a game you absolutely love because you don't think you're good enough yet?
Yeah. Like I wouldn't make a video about Metal Gear Solid 3, for example. No. Like I'm not ready here. My experience is too low.
That's how I feel about Kingdom Hearts 2 as well. It's like I could probably make a Kingdom Hearts 2 review. I would like making it, but I don't think I could do it justice.
Okay, but I wanna do it. I wanna play Kingdom Hearts because I've been very like unfair to it.
Yeah.
So you recommend I start with the first one? That's your recommendation?
Yeah. So
I think I will do it after Hades. Like so that's gonna be in a lot of time in the future, but I mean, the place is there.
It's a special game to me. Let's just say that much. It was the first game that really got me into games. Kingdom Hearts 1 at least. Kingdom Hearts 2 is the one that made me appreciate what I like in games today. Like great story or like an interesting story. Like the story is very like mid 2000s anime, so like a lot of like you're gonna be thinking, wow, this reminds me a lot of Naruto for some reason.
But I grew up with Naruto, so
exactly like you're gonna have that feeling. It's very anime. Kingdom Hearts 2, but Kingdom Hearts 1, it's more of like a hero story. It's very bit more emotional than like the other ones. Like the music kind of reflects that. It's very good. I think you will enjoy. I think you'll enjoy it for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do it. Because holistically, I would like to be able to talk about most popular games, like going a little bit like not just like the last 10 years, a little bit more than that. So I have to know something, but I want to know. I want to have an opinion about Kingdom Hearts, like at some point, you know. So I think I'm just using it as an excuse. It had to happen, you know.
Yeah, if it's gonna feel a lot slower than like probably a few of the other hack and slashes you may have played.
I think
but there's
that's a feature nowadays, right? Because if you're used to one thing and something comes that is a little bit different, you're like, yes.
Well, it's more that like it's not as fast, but there's a really good rhythm to it. Like there's a really strong rhythm with everything with all the combos in the game, and the magic system is really solid. It's just
I have a question now.
Yes.
Is like I don't know if you thought about this. Like, is your dream that you will make a video about Kingdom Hearts and that will be the one that is gonna explode? Do you ever think about that, or you're still like, I don't give a fuck?
So I've already made a video on Kingdom Hearts.
What? I thought you said you didn't, or
Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, 2. I mean,
two is the big one for me. I even said at the end of my Kingdom Hearts 1 video, I was like, I'm not gonna make a Kingdom Hearts 2 review until I hit 100,000 subscribers. That's the goal. Because I feel at that point I will get you there. Yeah, because I feel at that point I will be good enough to talk about it, whether it be like my script writing will improve, my editing has improved, just the way I talk, my own my own performance, just everything needs to improve before I can really talk about those games. And there's other games too. Nier Automata is a game I absolutely adore. I think it was the best game of. Yeah, I think it was the best game of the last generation. If I'm being, at least that's my thoughts. At least it was the best game of the last generation.
I'm so sorry, but it didn't work for me as well. Like I just couldn't. I couldn't.
You need to beat the entire game to truly appreciate it.
Wait, did I beat the entire game? I think I did once. Yeah, I did. I finished it once, and I knew there was like multiple endings.
No, that's not the entire game. That's not the entire game.
I know. I've heard it before, but like, how much of a game should you play and not enjoy until you're like, okay, I have to stop now? Like,
for Nier Automata, you need to beat the entire game
twice. Like, because I beat it once, right?
So here's how it works. There's the first playthrough, then the second playthrough as 9S, and then like. Because like you get a completely different perspective on the whole thing, because you start to learn like, oh, 9S is like actually kind of clutch, and then he kind of turns into like a secondary main character to the whole thing. And then the second half of the game begins, because once you beat 9S playthrough, it's not gonna say anything like it did with the first time, but you click continue, and then part 2 begins. They basically make a sequel to Nier Automata.
I'm aware of like the trickery there. The trickery, like how they go about it.
Yeah. So the first 2 parts is like the thesis of Nier Automata. It's like, hey, this is what this game is about, or like it's setting up the world more or less. And then Nier Automata 2, or like I'm saying it is Nier Automata 2, but kind of like the second half of the game is all about let's have all these plot lines kind of come together and like create this extremely interesting nihilistic view on the world and on humanity and all these things. And then there's like this final clash that happens, and then it ends, but it doesn't, because there's like one final part. It's called Ending E, and it completely encapsulates everything into this gameplay and story segment that just kind of blows you away, and it kind of just redefines your whole viewpoint on how games should be treated and how they should be viewed and how they should be played. And it's an incredibly beautiful moment that kind of just transforms the entire game from being a video game to this experience that you kind of had to go through from beginning to end.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds very nice. And have you seen this movie called? This is gonna sound random, but have you seen this movie called? What was it called now? Samurai? No, The Last Duel. Have you seen The Last Duel?
I remember seeing it. It's like about fencers, right?
It's about. It's a story told through 3 different perspectives, and it's about 2 guys fighting in the end for like life and death. Like they're like knights and shit. But
so no, I haven't seen it. But I have seen like I saw like a duel that they had, I think.
But here's the thing about this movie: it's exactly like Nier Automata, and I know everything around Nier Automata because like again, I'm very interested in the industry in general. But what happens in the movie is that when you see from one person's perspective, the movie just feels like cannot focus, random things happening. You're like, what is this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And literally, when you start seeing it from the other person's perspective, all of those holes in the plot start to like get filled in, and it's extremely satisfying. And now you're like, oh, I get it now. And I think I think that's the same way with Nier Automata, because when you play the first playthrough, something is off. Like, you're like, I'm missing something. You can feel that something is missing.
Yeah.
And you really need those second and third, or how many playthroughs do you have to do? Like 4
So
or 5?
it's not really no. So it's the first play. So you can split the game up into 2 halves. There is like the part that you played with 2B, and then the game, and then once you beat 2B's part, they're gonna say, hey, we recommend you play the game again, but this time is 9S. So you beat 9S's part, and like for the most part, it is more or less the same game. You just get it from 9S's perspective. So like you only do like the segments that 9S was in. So like for example, you don't do like the final final Adam boss fight, I think, with 2B, because like 9S is unconscious, but instead you like go into like this, you have a conversation with Adam the entire time, like in this text game, like in this text format. And that's like its own very interesting thing. Like it kind of feels like its own boss fight interaction. Not saying that like you fight him, but like you have this conflict with him, and then it expands from that, and then you do some different things until eventually you finish 9S's part. You learned a few pretty crucial plot details, and then the game ends. And then it doesn't say anything like, "Oh, hey, keep playing." But if you click continue again, you start the second half of the game, where it's like, hey, these are all like the little bits and pieces we kind of sprinkled around the first half. We're now going to start forming we're now going to start forming a thesis with this, and kind of we're going to try to tell you this message that we want to share, and we're going to use these characters to tell it. And it's done really, really well. It could, because I don't want to go into like full spoilers into the game.
I know. I feel your mental gymnastics trying to avoid being specific there. I think it's good. I think you should savor this for what you said. Like make a video about this in the future.
Yeah, even now, I don't think I'm good enough to really
I understand how you feel about it. Yeah.
Why you should play Nier Automata.
Yeah, I think you really should. Unfortunately, I think it's time for me to go. I'm done. I really need to pee, and we need to leave with my girlfriend soon to go to eat dinner.
It's all good.
Well, if you want to do this again, I'm up for it. Maybe
of course, man. This was super fun.
We should bring out what's his name? Your favorite son?
That'd be pretty dope. I get like a 30,000 plus. That'd be pretty dope. That would help out the channel a lot.
I don't think he feels like a 30,000 plus subscribers, because I think like it was like very recent. I think that he blew up, so I think he still feels like in our level. Well, I won't take any more of your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye.